Freedom versus determinism. The debate between freedom and determinism is one of the central issues in philosophy, particularly in the realm of ethics, metaphysics, and psychology. At its core, this debate revolves around the question of whether human beings have the freedom to make choices or whether our actions are determined by forces beyond our control, such as biology, society, or fate. Understanding this conflict involves exploring the concepts of free will, determinism, and the implications of each on personal responsibility, moral accountability, and human nature. Determinism is the belief that every event, or state of affairs, including human actions, is the outcome of preceding events in accordance with the laws of nature. In a deterministic universe, all actions are the result of prior causes, and there is no room for free will or spontaneous choice. This idea is often linked to scientific determinism, where the universe operates as a closed system governed by physical laws. For instance, if we knew all the initial conditions of the universe and the laws of nature, we could, in theory, predict all future events, including human behavior. One form of determinism is causal determinism, which argues that every event is the result of an earlier cause. This would suggest that our thoughts, choices, and actions are determined by prior events, including our genetic makeup, upbringing, cultural influences, and past experiences. In this view, free will is an illusion because our choices are simply the result of a chain of causes that began before we were born. Freedom, on the other hand, is often understood as the ability to act according to one's own will, without being unduly influenced by external forces. Advocates of free will argue that humans are capable of making independent choices, guided by reason, desires, or moral principles. In this view, even if certain factors influence our decisions, such as biological impulses or societal expectations, we still retain the capacity to choose between different courses of action. This perspective is integral to many ethical systems, as it holds individuals accountable for their actions, asserting that they are responsible for the choices they make. The conflict between freedom and determinism becomes particularly complex when considering moral responsibility. If determinism is true, then it could be argued that individuals are not morally responsible for their actions, as their decisions are the inevitable result of prior causes. On the other hand, if freedom exists, people are accountable for their choices and actions, and this accountability forms the basis of moral judgment. Some philosophers seek to reconcile these two views with the concept of compatibilism. Compatibilists argue that freedom and determinism are not mutually exclusive. They suggest that even if our actions are determined by prior causes, we can still be considered free if we act in accordance with our desires and intentions. In other words, freedom is not the absence of causality, but the ability to act according to one's own motivations without external coercion. This view allows for moral responsibility, while accepting that determinism shapes the conditions in which our choices are made. In contrast, incompatibilism holds that freedom and determinism cannot coexist. If determinism is true, then free will is impossible, and individuals cannot be held morally responsible for their actions. Incompatibilists argue that human beings must have the capacity to make genuinely free choices in order for moral responsibility to be meaningful. The debate between freedom and determinism raises important questions about the nature of human agency, responsibility, and the possibility of moral progress. Whether or not we are truly free to make choices may have profound implications for how we understand ethics, justice, and the nature of the self. The challenge remains to navigate the complexities of human freedom in a world that may, at least in some respects, be determined by forces beyond our control.